What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to implement service discovery using Spring Cloud Eureka. Okay. First, as always, we create our Spring Boot application using the Spring Initializer portal. Okay. We use Java as our language, then Maven. For Spring Boot, we choose the most stable version, which is 3.2.4. Then package, we change to, let's say, DemoEureka. By the way, we are going to, in this demo, I'm going to create three Spring Boot application. One is for our Eureka servers, and the other two I'm going to create Eureka clients. So all in all, three Spring Boots. Okay. Let's first we create the Eureka server. Demo Eureka server. We keep the default option for packaging, and the version, Java version is 17. Dependency, we need Eureka server only. Okay, then let's generate the app. Alright, then another one is for Eureka client. Let's say client 1. For client 1, we need Eureka client. This one. Okay. And I think we need also web, so we can test. We need to add the controller, right, for testing purpose. So we add web dependency. Alright, so we generate. Then another client, we call it client 2. Same dependency, you like client, and web for our testing. Okay, let's generate. Alright, so let's go to our download folder and extract these three applications. Let's start with Eureka server. Okay, we delete the archive, we don't need this anymore. Same with Eureka client. Delete the archive, extract the client 2, delete the archive. Okay, then let's open these three Spring Boot application in our IntelliJ. Let's start with the Eureka server. Open. Open as a project. Okay, let's check our dependency. So for Eureka server, we need this obviously, and this Eureka server library has some dependency, which is the Spring Cloud dependencies. Okay, so this should be fine. Then we need to configure this server also. Okay, let's create a YAML because my configuration is for YAML. Okay, application.yml. Okay, for server we need basically this. Let me explain. What is this? Okay, for Eureka server, this configuration is required. For our demo purpose, we use this port 8761. Okay, then this register with Eureka should be false. Same with fetchRegistry should be false. Okay, as simple as that. Then after configuration, we need to enable the Eureka server. enable Eureka server. Then that's it. We can run the server. By the way, the purpose of this Eureka server, this will serve as our registry, service registry, so that later when we run our Eureka client, this server will how you call this, register this. This will register basically all the Eureka clients, okay? So that later when we request for the address of the clients, we can the framework can give us the exact IP address and port because of this registry. Okay, you can run this now. All right. Okay, started already. Let's check the console. HTTP localhost. The port we use is let's check again. 8761. 8761. All right. So this is our server console. We can see here all the client register in our server. Okay, so currently instances currently registered with Eureka is 0, no instances yet. So now let's create our clients, Eureka client. Let's open. We already created earlier, right? So let's open the client 1, Eureka client 1, new window. So as again we need to check we have to verify the dependency. For client, of course, we need this Eureka client, Netflix Eureka client. Okay. Then again, this library requires this dependencies, Spring Cloud dependencies. That's why we have this. Then this web we need for our controller, right? For our testing purpose. All right. Then let's configure it. Let's create an YAML, application.yml. For a client, we need this. So for Eureka client, we need to point this client to our server, Eureka server, right? With this, in our case, since our server is deployed in our local host, local machine, so we use localhost. Okay, then the port we use for our server is 8761. This one, right? 8761. So basically we point to our server. Then the port of this client is 8080. Then the name we can let's make it actually we can remove this. We don't need this Spring application name because we already have here DemoEurekaClient. Okay, so it's redundant. Anyway, this application.properties will override the YAML one, so it's useless to put the application name here. Okay, so that we can run this. Before we run, we need to enable also the Eureka client. Enable, this one, discovery client. Then also before we run, let's create an endpoint for our testing. Let's say get mapping test public string test return this. We just put some we just return a dummy message, okay, since this is just a demo. Okay, this message is from client 1. Okay, then we need to call this client 1. For demo purpose, we will call the client 2, so we can test whether our service discovery is working or not. Okay, so we need, for this one, we need to create a REST template. Okay, RestTemplate, let's say client. Okay, we configure. We basically just need to yeah, I think something wrong with our Maven. We're supposed to be able to add this. Let's check our Maven dependency again. Maven clean package. Let's see. Something wrong with our library. Seems that we're supposed to be able to import this. Yeah, now we can. It's just slow. Okay, so basically we need this API to be able to call a REST API. Okay, so REST template. Let's go to our main. Then we can auto wire it. REST template. Alright. Okay, we can use this template to call our client 2, because we want what we want to achieve here is we want to verify whether we can call, we can call the microservice 2 or the client 2 using the service discovery pattern. Okay, which the our Eureka server will help us to achieve that. So okay, let's create another endpoint. Get mapping. We call this client 1 API. Then client 1 API. This will call our client 2. Okay, so how we know the host and port? we will use the Eureka server to know that. Well, now is still how you call this, still empty, right? So what we need to do, we go to our we need to open our client 2, so we would know the name. Client 2. So for our client 2, we just need to do the same as client 1. Let's first we check the dependency. The dependency is just the same. We have the Eureka, Netflix Eureka client, and the Spring Cloud dependencies. Okay, we just need to add the configuration, same as what we did in our client 1. Application.yml. So we can simply copy the configuration from our client 1. So since our client 1 is using 8080, this time we need to use another port, because otherwise it will be conflict, right? So let's say 8082. This is the port for our client number 2. Okay, then again, our client 2 is pointing to our Eureka server, which is deployed in our local machine. That's why we use localhost, and the port we use for our server is 8761. Okay, as simple as that. Then again, we need to enable the discovery client. Okay, then same as what with now, the name of this client number 2 is this, right? DemoEureka 2. So we use this to call client 2. We use this name. So we go back to client 1. Let's first parameter is URL. So HTTP, the name of the client 2 that we want to call. So as you can see here, we don't need to specify the IP and port, right? Eureka server will help us find the actual IP address and port number. We just need to tell to Eureka servers, this is the microservice that we want to find the address. So the internal job, the internal process how to find out the IP address and port, Eureka server will do that for us. Okay, so it's very convenient. So let's say for client number 2, let's say we want to call the API. Let's call it client 2 API. Okay. So let's say for demo purpose, we simply return string. Okay. All right. This should be okay. Public string client API. This should be get mapping. Okay. seems there is something wrong with our annotation. Oh, long syntax, sorry about that. All right, so let me explain this. Basically what we want to do, our client 1 will call client 2 and our client 2 will call client 1. So these two microservices will communicate without knowing the exact IP address and port of each other. When we call this microservice, we will just call them by name. Okay, then the internal, as I mentioned earlier, the actual IP address and port number, it will be I mean the Eureka server will find it for them. Okay, so I think should be okay now. Let's check. There is some syntax. Okay, we missed the semicolon here. All right, so for client 2, wait, let's compile, let's build it first. It seems, make sure that there's no compilation error. For client 2, we can just copy and paste. First, also we need this configuration. We need to use RestTemplate, right, for us to be able to call REST API. So we just copy this. Nothing special here. Then we need same as client 1, we also need to create a controller so we can test. We can call a REST call. Okay, REST controller, then add 2 endpoints. One is to test. Wait, me test. I think we don't need this. I think we need I get confused. Client 1 will call client 2 API. So we need to create this API, client 2 API. Okay. Since our client 1 will call this client 2 API, so we need to create this endpoint, right? Client 2 API. Now we can hard code the message. This message is from client 2 API. Okay, so client 1 will call client 2, then client 2 will return this message. Okay, then our client 2, because we want these two microservices to communicate with each other, right? So our client 2 need to call also the client 1, so we need also this. So client, then we copy this. think we need the REST template. Alright, let me explain again. So again, our client 1 will call client 2 API. So there must be, since this is the URL used by client 1, we should create this endpoint, right? This is client 2 API, and this API will return this message is from client 2 API. Okay, then client 2 will call also client 1. So again, client 2 don't need to know the IP and port number of the client 1. We just need to specify the name, application name of client 1, which is this one. How do we know this? DemoEurekaClient. We go to client 1 here in the application properties, Spring application name, Eureka DemoEurekaClient 1. So that's the name, DemoEurekaClient 1. Right? Then again, since we're calling client 1, we should call client 1 API. So there must be a client 1 API. So this one should be, we hard code this. Sorry about that. This message is from client 1. Alright. Okay, this message is from client 1. Okay, let's review again. So client 2 will call client 1 API, which is this one, client 1 API. Then it should return this message, right? This message is from client 1. Okay, let's check again the communication. So first, client 1 will call client 2. Sorry about that, it's quite confusing. Client 1 will call client 2. Okay. So first, the client 1 will call client 2. That's why we use RestTemplate to call client 2 API. Okay. So this is the API that we're going to call, client 2 API, this one. Okay, so client 2 will return this message. Then client 2 will call client 1. So this one, this is the name of client 1 and this is the API. So client 1 will return this message. Alright, so I hope it's clear now. Basically, it's a communication between the two microservices, client 1 and client 2. Right? So to test them, we create two endpoints each. This is for testing. The endpoint test is to test whether the service discovery is working or not. Okay. So whenever we hit the test endpoint, the client one microservice will call the other service, the other microservice. Okay. Then another endpoint, this one will return the hard-coded message whenever the other service call this particular API. Okay. So basically, this API will be will be called by another service. This API this endpoint, I mean, will be called by us. This will be called by human. This is called by microservice. Okay, is it clear? Anyway, we will test it. Okay, we can run now. First we run the client one. Then we check the server whether whether the client is registered in our server. Okay. So as you can see, we can refresh. Alright. See, this is our first client. See, our Eureka server detect a client name DemoEurekaClient1. Okay, we run again the other clients. Client 2, just check. So we expect 2 clients are registered in our server, Eureka server. Alright, now since these clients are registered in our server, they can communicate with each other using their name only. So these 2 microservices, they don't need to know this IP address and port. They just need to know the name of each other. So even this IP address and port number change, they don't it's not an issue. There will be no problem, because this, as long as they know the name of each other, which is this one, this will never change because we hard coded this in the application properties. This, all right. So now we can test. First we test the client 1. When we hit this endpoint, this client 1 will call the client 2, and we expect client 2 message. Okay, http localhost test. So the port of our first client, the client 1, the port is 8080, right? This one, 8080. So again, when we hit this endpoint, this client 1 will call the client 2, and the client 2 will return a client 2 message, okay, as per our simple implementation. So we expect here message from client 2. That's it now. Oh, some problem. Let's check. So I think something is wrong. It's not even hit in our, okay, let me check again. Localhost http://localhost 8080. Oh, sorry about that. I think I forgot to add our controller. Sorry about that. Rest controller. All right, should be fine. Let's check the other client. There should be rest controller also. All right, there is already. So again, so when we hit this, as per our implementation, when we hit this endpoint test, this client 1 will call client 2 API, and this API will return client 2 message. Okay, all right, this message is from client 2. Then the client 2, the same, we call Client 2 is using port 8082, right? Let's go to client 2. Right? So client 2 is using 8082. So again, the same. If we hit this endpoint, this client 2 will call client 1, and this client 1 API will return client 1 message. Okay, so let's test it. All right, this message is from client 1, so it's working, right? So take note, when we call the microservice, we never use IP address and port, right? We just use the name, as you can see here. And how did we achieve that? Our Eureka server helped us achieve that. That's the reason why we use the Eureka server. Okay, it will serve as our service discovery. Yeah, but then again, before we can take advantage of that feature, we need to register our service. That's the reason why we use this library Eureka client, so we can register to our Eureka server. Okay, after registration, then we can we can call them by using the name of the microservice. We don't need to know the IP address or the port. So even this IP address and port keep changing, it should not be a problem because we are using the name, and the Eureka server will resolve that IP address and port number for us, so we don't need to know them. Okay, as long as we know the name of the microservice, we're fine, we're good to go. Okay, I think that's all, guys. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you find this helpful. I'll see you again next time. Thank you very much. Bye bye.